Welcome to a special edition of Understandable Insights, Information to Intelligence with Sue Gordon. In this bonus episode, we explore the rise of retribution politics in America, from prosecutors to reporters, and the shifting boundaries of political power. This conversation was originally recorded on December 1st, 2025, and first released as part of the extended YouTube cut of episode 20. We also kind of have this retribution government going on. Reuters published an article last week of at least 470 individuals and institutions targeted for retribution in President Trump's second term. From prosecutors and FBI agents who worked in the January 6th investigations to university and media outlets. So this idea of weaponizing the state purges civil servants, punishments for dissent, threats to investigations or funding cuts, coercing institutions into rolling back policies, etc. So what did you think about the retribution article and investigation put out by Reuters?
I thought it was a good, pretty tight coverage of what everyone knows is a trend here. And the idea of the government punishing, God, I hate those words, punishing individuals for being different in terms of their view or their face or anything like that, or the questions they ask, is just, one, pretty close to un-American. And two, I hate the escalation of government privilege. I just do. It is always, in times of discomfort or hardship, one of the things that we consider doing. Go back to 9/11, we escalated privilege, and we then went back and looked at it and we said, I just don't like that, to choose something on the other side of the aisle when we were really worried about the purveyance of untruths on social media. The government said, hey, let's see if we can encourage the companies themselves to put some limits on it. And we almost immediately recognized that as a slippery slope that we didn't want to go down, even though we still have the problem. The idea that we have the federal government sending messages about what universities can do in terms of free speech, what individuals can do in terms of making jokes, what reporters can do in terms of raising questions, it is just unhelpful to resolving the issues that the American people have made clear with our elections. We have things we need to be better at. But escalating government privilege to punish people who are just simply expressing dissent or difference is, at best, fundamentally flawed, and at worst, something that is going to undermine both trust in government and the nature of society. Because you see, what happens is the threat of punishment is causing people to be afraid to even do what they would normally otherwise do, whether that is companies that don't want to have policies that displease the government because that means they won't get approval on some regulatory policy, or whether it is news organizations decide that they're going to back off from the way that they objectively cover things. Like I said, at best, a slippery slope, and at worst, it undermines who we are as a nation. I hate it.
Yep. Free speech, bro.
Wait, I just spoke for 5 minutes in a dense block, and you gave one sentence, free speech, bro. And I'm like, yeah, we should have let you talk.
There's something to be said for, that's why we have the ability to sue people for libel and for slander, right? There's been rulings on free speech isn't protected for crying fire in a movie theater, right?
There are always limits. And I guess my last thing on the retribution piece is just the name calling. I don't know. Maybe I'm old. Well, wait, I am old. I actually like being old now.
Seasoned.
But it's seasoned. There you go. But I don't know. A person in position of national responsibility calling people names, whether that is piggy or stupid or unethical, simply for asking a question, just is, who are we? Who are we? Am I just out of touch, Eric, that I want our president to be representing the best of us, not devolving into personal attacks that undermine our belief in ourselves?
Yeah, I think we talked about it before. It's the idea of presidential, right?
Yeah.
That term and how that's devolving. Also, the implications and the implied intent and the implied fear of retribution, right? When you're creating that toxic culture, we talk about leadership quite a bit, and you talk about organizations where people don't have the confidence to speak up or say something or even have any sort of innovation or initiative because that's been stifled because of a toxic leadership environment or fear of retribution. The reporters don't work for him. I got that. But how long are they going to want to keep doing their job? And I can't imagine calling anyone piggy. Let's collaborate and work together positively instead of there's enough hard shit to do. You don't need to be calling people names.
It makes things less, right? I hate any leader that executes actions or behaviors that makes people smaller. Is not in our national interest.
Thanks for listening to this special edition of Understandable Insights. Don't miss our next full episode this Tuesday, where we'll break down Golden Dome contract awards, the new national security strategy, the future of undersea warfare, and more headlines shaping our world.
Thanks for joining us. And as always, remember, we're here for you. And most importantly, go forth, do good, and for goodness sake, be kind to one another.